I was getting into the music.
Ooh, we are live from. Why do I? I hear myself on the other screen. I gotta close that. Here we go. All right, here we go. We are live from Hamilton in North Carolina. It is a cloudy day, and it's going to be about 68 of your degrees here. And I hear it's thundering and lightning.
Yeah, it looks like it's 4:00 in the morning outside. It's dark,
Thundering and
all I
lightning.
hear is thunder, like booming like a drum over and over. It's pretty crazy.
Nice. I like it. How are you, sir? How was your week?
I'm doing amazing.
Are you playing the greatest? Are you playing this week's biggest game? Because it started off a few weeks ago as everybody in the world was playing the Diablo 4. Then everybody gave up on that and they moved over to the BG3. And they've given up on that and they moved to Armored Core. And they've given a small portion of people into Armored Core. Then they've given up on that and now they're playing Starfield this week. And then next week it'll be something else.
Yes, I have been playing Starfield, but I have not been playing it at the lengths of everybody else. I'm a big Bethesda fan. Jeff talked about this last night with you. First game I played was Morrowind that I can remember. Obviously then Oblivion and then Skyrim. I've played Fallout. I've gone through the motions. This game for me is it's difficult because I do enjoy it because I like the type of game that it is. But the traveling is really bothering me and it's making me not want to play the game. I mean, I only play it for about 30 minutes and I feel like almost half of that time I'm spending going between menus trying to get planet to planet. And I know people tell me I don't know how I'm playing or whatever. I know how to play RPGs, right? But we all play them differently. So, if you follow a quest line and you got to keep going planet to planet, you're going to be looking at that ship animation over and over and going to the planet map. And then speaking of maps, I read something today that I needed to check that you can go to an abandoned satellite on the planets and you can download the map. Because right now, when you open the map and it shows you like grid lines and you can't see where shit is, that's not a map. Like, I don't understand what that is. So I do enjoy the game. I'm not going to bash it, but I do have my problems with it. And I'm not, I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't. Some people will tell you that it's the greatest thing ever because it's truly what they like, or the whole PlayStation, Xbox fanboy shit. I don't care about that stuff. I'll finish the game. But right now, I'm only finding that I can play it for about 30 minutes at a time before I'm bored. So
See, to me, it's a single-player game. And I didn't get into the other ones. I didn't get into D4, which is multiplayer, BG3 multiplayer. If it was multiplayer, if you and Crow and I last night, after our production meeting, if we could have jumped in and we could have, toured around. Crow and I went and played some Gotham last night. We're playing that Monday night on my stream. It's multiplayer. We can go do stuff. We can go, kill baddies, save hookers. Oh, that's a different game. Then that would be fun. But for me, just to sit here and play this game, I've watched people stream, and I was watching Miss Tracy, and she's like, "I'm sorry, Jeff, I'm in a really boring part." And I'm like, "It's not my game. It's a single player game." She goes, "I know. I'm here playing by myself, but I got my Xbox crew in my head, and blah blah blah." And it's just like,
and I do like single player games. I mean, I'm glad that we get a new single player game. I enjoy playing games by myself, especially RPGs, because I get invested in the story, but I'm just not invested in this story. I don't know. Maybe for me, it's the subject, the space exploration and stuff. It just seems very dull. Like, there's parts of the game where I feel like I'm playing Destiny, and we all know I don't like Destiny. I don't care about Destiny. It's not my game, and I was feeling like that at some points as I was playing this. So I hope it gets better. I'm only a level 10, right? So full transparency, I know I have a long way to go, and the story will open up, and I'm sure the game will get better. But for right now, And I did put a post up. If anybody says, I said after 3 minutes of play, Starfield was a 10 out of 10. And yes, I was being sarcastic because that's the way I interpreted everybody's opinion about the game in those first couple of hours, right? Everybody just was rushing. Oh my God, this is the greatest game ever. It was like, dude, calm down. Like, whew. So, anyway.
So I want to give a big thanks to Paul Bayram, because he opened my eyes to something. Because when I would talk about reviews, and if I did a review, and then I also watched, thanks to Crow Resin, Asmongold talk about this. Unless you're going to actually beat the game, then you can do a review. Otherwise, you're really just doing a first impression. So I have to correct all of my statements and anything going forward when I'll be first impressions, because I'm not going to complete the game. I'm not going to finish the game.
Way to go, Paul.
So Paul was the one that questioned me and other people. They're like, not a review, it's a first impression. And I'm like, what's the difference? And then Crow sent me Asmongold, and I'm like, okay, all right. I saw it. I'm learning. I'm keep coming better and going to do more first impressions of the game, because as Crow points out, D4 was great until you get to a point, and then it just went to horse shit. Apparently, I don't know. Crow's words. And I'm sure if Bruce was here, he could fill us in, and Crow, and they can, in the comments, you guys can indicate what happened. But I guess the game was doing great, and then I guess they gave up, and it just became either repetitive or broken or something. Right? Yeah, you want to review Madden? It's broken from the get-go. So it's free play weekend. If anybody wants to do, it's free play weekend. If anybody
played it last night,
I was not. If anybody wants to play with me, I'm happy to do a 6-hour stream. It'll be 1 quarter of football. We will run a play, and then we will dissect it in the. We will look at the instant replay, and we will dissect it. I want you Madden experts, Ray, Project Storm. I want you guys to explain Sapien technology to me, and how this new technology, which is supposed to be better, is making the game so much better, because I've not played it, so if it's, and I see people posting, right, videos of them playing it and scoring touchdowns. So I want them to explain this to me. So I am here all weekend. Anybody wants to do a 6-hour stream with me, we will play 1 quarter of football, because that's all we'll get through. We will dissect and analyze, and you can explain Sapien technology. We will go back to the features that they said is going to be in the game, and then we will look at that, how those features they're promoting are in the game. I stand here waiting.
Oh.
Ray unfortunately said he's busy this weekend. I think he's poking his eyes out with a sharp stick. Anyways, so there we go. All right, what do we got on tap today? We ready to go? We ready to get the show on the road?
I think so. I don't know. We've made more enemies than friends in this first 10 minutes.
That's what we do.
Hey, you know him as probably the great. Did I get muted? Am I back? You know him as probably the greatest Redskins defensive back ever in the history of the NFL. I'm talking about Deion Sanders, Jeff, and we're going to talk about what's going on with him in Colorado right now. Okay.
Excellent.
And then I want to walk through a GOAT debate, greatest of all time debate, right? And see if we can talk through that a little bit. We have our post of the week. We have Did You Hear About? And then you have a draft 5 guesses today.
It is. We're doing a draft today. Yes, sir. Just like we did the game shows, like we did the game shows a few weeks ago. Yeah, we got another topic today. Yeah. We're drafting another top 5 of something else. Nice. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun one. We might learn something about the Ryzak on this one.
Ooh, I don't know if you want to do that, but
we might learn. We might learn something about the Ryzak.
Well,
see, it would be completely different if we did this one. If we did it with squids.
Ooh.
If I did it with squids,
now you got me thinking things I probably shouldn't be thinking.
If I did it with squids, shout out to our boy Squids, it would be a completely different top 5.
So, Jeff, I know this week you've been kind of getting back to your normal routine, but Jeff, I didn't see you did a shorts video this week. What's going on? Did your Wondershare break down?
No, Wondershare is still awesome. I did do a short of the of my NFL picks, thanks to Wondershare. But no, I did not finish editing last week's. I couldn't turn it into a short. It was just too long. Even when I tried to cut shit out. So I did not do that. And you know what? It was a softball by you. So I may still throw it up on the other medias.
It was a softball by me.
It was a softball by you. But
well, definitely.
So, yeah.
Keep the shorts coming, Jeff.
They're fun. I know. But thanks to Wondershare. Link down and below. All right, what do we got?
Hey, last week, Colorado kind of shocked the nation a little bit by upsetting TCU. Colorado got a new coach, right? Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. He's not Prime Time anymore now. He's Coach Prime, okay? Mm-hmm. And Deion was coaching at Jackson State.
He was.
HBCU school. Mm-hmm. And they did well. They had some players. Mm-hmm. But because they weren't on the main stage, the guys weren't getting looked at. And so Deion takes the job at Colorado. I think they won one game the year prior, right? They've been in shambles for a long time since the 90s, early 2000s. And he saw this as an opportunity to show his worth and turn a team around, right? Show that he can do this. But number two, he was kind of able to open up a door for some of his players that were already, succeeding, but just weren't getting that attention, right? And so they go into TCU last week. TCU, remember, they were in the national championship game last year, lost the national championship game, highly rated. We've talked about one of their offensive tackles. It's 450 pounds, freshman guy. He means a beast.
Bubba. Yeah, he didn't get a lot of play time. I was looking for him. I think he got a couple of snaps, but not many last week.
Everything looked like it was stacking up against Coach Prime's debut. Nobody was really giving them a chance. What was the returning player, right?
What was the spread?
It was 21.
Yep.
21. They were 21-point underdogs.
Yes, sir.
They only kept one player from the previous regime, so every player on the team is brand new, except for that one.
They pulled from the transfer portal. The transfer portal was open and was all just warping there.
Yep. And I remember watching a video of him addressing the old team and saying, look, you want to be here? You don't. This is the way it's going to be. But if you don't want to be here, there's the door. And people actually got up and walked out, right? I bet you they're not laughing as much anymore because Colorado upset TCU, right?
They
Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, is the talk of the town, and he's got some players that are getting national attention now and actually have the word Heisman being associated with them in the same sentence. So I know you watched this game. I know you tweeted out about it the entire time.
I did.
Were you expecting that was going to happen, Jeff, or were you impressed with what Coach Prime and his team did?
Both. I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought it was going to be competitive. They got out to a quick lead, and then TCU came back and got the lead back. And I'm like, oh dear, do they have the muster? Can the kid do 100+ plays? We're going to, you got to slide about that in a second. I was like, oh man, but and then they would march back down, and it was like, and so. TCU did not have. They lost some of their players, obviously. Moved up in the draft and in the NFL, and it was a back and forth. I was DMing with Ray to see if he was watching it. He put the game on, and we were DMing a little bit during the game, and then it was quite a game.
I saw. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's all I got.
Oh, I saw a clip last night. Of an interview with Deion Sanders. There was a moment where the TCU running back, his last name is also Sanders, right?
Yeah.
He was down on the field, and Coach Prime walks out there. He's out there with all the other coaches. He smacks the kid on the helmet, says something to him, and walks away, right? And they were like, what did you say? Like, the coaches weren't mad at all, like, this and that. And he goes, he was a fantastic player. He wasn't getting looked at. He had gotten hurt, and he got his opportunity to come up to TCU and play, and I went out on the field, and I said, if you don't get your butt back in the game, they don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
he was complimenting the kid for how great he was, right? And he was like,
Yeah.
not only is his last name Sanders, so I want to see him succeed, but he's a hell of a football player, and I want to see people succeed. And so, one of the things that I take away, like, granted, I grew up a Redskins fan, and when Deion Sanders came to the Redskins, it was all a smoke and mirror pony show, right? Give him all this money, have him come get in his fancy suit. Let's get him catch a couple punt returns, give him his money, and let him walk away. I mean, it was at the end of his time. But when he was with San Francisco and when he was with Dallas, could stand him because he was just this, and Atlanta. He was just this cocky, just like, that's just not how I saw that sportsmanship should be treated in this and that. And then next thing you know, he's a Redskin. I'm like, I got to kind of swallow my pride because I got to root for the guy, right? But what he has done after football has been more impressive to me. He's a hell of a businessman. I don't know if you're aware of what he's involved in. He's a hell of a businessman. He is proving to people that he's a hell of an organizer.
Yep.
And he is a hell of a coach. And so throughout time, I've always doubted Deion when it came to certain things because I rooted against him because he was on the other team, right?
Yep, makes sense.
I learned not to root against Deion anymore. And I feel like this is going to be a really special year for him, if not because they're going to do well as a team or whatever. What he has done to uplift this program and give some of these players the spotlight, what other coach is doing that? What other coach right now has gone to the lengths that he has to revamp and retool a program that he just took over? Have you ever seen this before?
I can't think of any, but yeah, there's been some other big name coaches, like David Shaw left Stanford. If he goes somewhere else, it'll have the same impact, right? There are other legacy coaches like that. He just happens to be the one in the spotlight. I know you guys not everybody watches the sports shows like I do. But Prime was making the tour of all the shows this week. And he tells a story. I saw it on Pat McAfee's show. And there's clips out it. You can probably go find it on his YouTube channel. He was talking about his son. And I know we're gonna talk about that shortly.
You mean this guy?
That guy right there. Yeah. So when he was younger, they went to a football clinic put on by a guy who is now the offensive coordinator for TCU. And this coach basically ignored him, may have said a few words to him. I'm paraphrasing everything that Deion said in this interview. Go back and watch it on PMS. He's apparently Shador said to him after, "We're never coming back here." And Prime even said to the coach, "You don't treat kids like this." So he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder coming into this game because he had this bad run-in with this coach at some football or quarterback clinic, whatever it was years ago, and basically torched him.
The post-game press conference, right? You had people asking questions, and he was like, "Oh, what'd you say? What'd you say? Huh? I keep my receipts. Yeah, you said that we weren't going to do it. You said that we what? What'd you say now?" Like, it was hilarious, right? So again, he just seems to have something about him. He succeeds, and I don't think I can root against what I'm watching him do for these young men. I mean, you said his son, right? Shador Sanders. He's the quarterback for Colorado. He was the quarterback for Jackson State last year. Doesn't get looked at, doesn't get talked about at all outside of the fact that he's Deion Sanders' son, right? Comes to Colorado, plays a highly ranked opponent from the national championship game last year, throws for 80.9%, 5'10", 4 TDs, looked like a man amongst boys. Jeff, I was reading into some detailed stats about him. I don't know if you ever go to PFF and look at the breakdowns of the games afterwards.
100%.
But in clean pockets, which he had, I think it was 78% of his dropbacks were in clean pocket. He got the ball out of his hands in 1.9 seconds. What's the internal clock that QBs have? It means he's faster. It just means that he's processing everything so fast when he has the time to do so. And the mental piece of the quarterback is what you can't, that's where it's at, right?
Yeah.
Tom Brady didn't have the biggest arm. He didn't have the best legs. He saw everything better. He was able to command the offense on the field. So he's definitely a player, somebody to watch. I think after the game, he was second in like quarterback rating or something in college football. And I think he slid down. I think he's just outside of the top 10 after all the games were played. But still, I mean,
still
phenomenal, right?
Phenomenal. Against a team that was in the national championship last year. Sure, they lost 65-7. Sure, they got killed. But they were still in the national championship game last year.
Yeah, right? And you were 21-point underdogs, right?
You're 21-point underdogs. Yeah.
If you didn't know about Colorado's two-way player, who was also at Jackson State, you will now, because Travis Hunter is here.
He is.
Okay, he's here, and that's what Deion said. He's got the dog in him, right? He's here.
At halftime, he said he should be given the Heisman. Deion said at halftime, give him the Heisman. Right, that was at halftime. Yeah,
it was at halftime. Right,
at halftime
in the tunnel.
And,
he played 147. Jeff, that was almost every single play of the game. It was every single defensive and offensive snap. It wasn't special team snaps.
Correct.
147 plays. And he produced in them. He had 3 tackles. He had 1 interception. It was a great interception.
It was a great interception. Diving for the ball. Right. If he didn't have to dive for it, if he could have caught it in stride, it would have been a pick six.
Yep. And then he has 11 for 119, and he should have had a touchdown. Should have had a touchdown.
Yep.
But he was phenomenal. And then after the game, it didn't even look like he played a game.
Nope. He was in there dancing. Yeah. In there dancing.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go again when we lace him up. You know.
Yep. The running back had 4. The running back had 4 touchdowns. He's a pure freshman. Pure freshman. Right out of high school. He's barely older than your daughter. Pure freshman. Came in 4 touchdowns. Yeah.
What I love about Travis Hunter is that I knew kids like this growing up, right? They're just better than everybody.
Yes.
And they don't even have to try.
Yep.
And so I really hope that the season continues on for like this for him and he becomes something special, because it was so fun watching him out there.
Oh yeah.
I had a lot of fun in watching the Thursday night game as well, which we'll talk about later on. The running back for Detroit there, the rookie, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep. I mean, so quick and like explosive. So Travis Hunter, man, if you haven't heard about him yet, you will, because he is awesome.
I want to say one final thing. There is a YouTube channel called Destroying. Ever heard of it? So he's become huge in the last few years. He goes to NFL camps. He hangs out with the commissioner. He has football camps. He was trying to make it as a kicker. He calls himself the only 6-star recruit. And one of his things is he tours facilities of campuses. He went earlier this year after Prime took over, he went to Colorado. And so there is if you go to his YouTube channel, Destroying, Destroying.
Yes, I know who he is. I'm sorry, Jeff. I always watch all the videos they do with the DB wide receiver.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Yes.
It didn't click. Yes, I know who he is.
Yeah. So he's done. He meets with Justin Hunter, who basically got there, didn't really know everything. But they tour the Colorado facility. They tour all the other facilities. And what's funny is when he went to LSU, I think he got to hold the championship trophy, Joe Burrow's championship trophy. And he usually, the team decks him out in, dresses him up and puts on his uniform, and he does a whole thing. He didn't do that for Colorado. They wouldn't let him because the spotlight was on him, was on Colorado, because Prime just came there. The NCAA was watching. And because technically, he's not enrolled, so he couldn't wear equipment apparently. So so Justin Hunter, or Travis Hunter did it and did all the stuff. They were out there having a snowball fight because it was in the snow in Colorado. So it's quite hilarious to watch. It's quite fun. All of his stuff, yes, Purple Haze, one-on-one stuff with lots of kids and with lots of clicks and clickbait titles. There's a couple of guys who did these one-on-one drills who've gone to play in the XFL, USFL. They've gotten, So
Did you see the one where Justin Jefferson took everybody on in disguise? Basically,
yes.
he had like a ski mask on.
Yep.
But,
Yep.
you know,
Good morning.
it's cool.
Raymond here.
Hey, Ray.
6:30. Raymond 6:30 in the
I
morning.
know.
Love Raymond. Shout out to Ray and his new show.
Perp said she likes what he's doing. I do too. I mean, he's created a brand. I mean, he's created a brand.
He's already has. He's got a brand. The NFL tweeted out, where he was going to be showing up for training camp. And making videos and doing stuff. So he's done some really cool things. So if you don't know Destroying, if you don't know him, get out there and watch a couple of. Again, I have no vested interest in him, but I just like some of his content.
So Colorado's 1-0, Jeff. They've got a high-profile machine
Fox
in the way of Nebraska, who is 0-1.
The Fox pregame, I believe today, somebody fact-checked me, is at Colorado today for their home opener.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, they've got a game at 12:00 noon Eastern.
I think Pat and them are in Tuscaloosa. Someone correct me if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know that for a fact. Colorado is favored by 3. Over/unders 59, and then there's that stat you talked about earlier, the 21-point underdog in Week 1. So what a turnaround for Coach Prime. This whole. From the time he took the job until now, right? And you can tell he's enjoying it, right? That smile is just...
I think someone else fact-checked me on this. I think the tickets for this game cost as much as all of the tickets for all of their games last year combined, or, something stupid. It would have been nice to have, if we had Ann and Jim on today, to talk about the fundraising aspect, the Colorado Foundation, the Alumni Association, the foundation themselves, how they're doing, how they're managing all of this newfound fame and fortune. So shout out to Ron Slusher. He is here for some Canadian bacon. God love that.
Yes,
love that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I'm not sure where you can find the worst handyman, Terry. I think he's still in Sault Ste. Marie, so you'd have to go look him up there. So there you go. Anyways, it's gonna be a fun day. It's gonna be a fun day.
Jeff.
Fun day.
This next topic is important to me. Okay, it's important to me. I'm glad Purple Haze is here because she and I were having a few chats on Twitter about this. Okay,
if she wants to come on for this segment, Purple, if you want to come on for this segment, you are welcome to come on and debate this segment with us.
I just got to know, how do we truly determine a GOAT? And by GOAT, I mean the greatest of all time, right? And so bear with me, Jeff. This might be a little bit long-winded here for a second. So
from you, what a surprise!
Look, you might play an individual sport, and you might just be better than everyone else, right? Or you might own every championship and trophy that you can in your sport. You might have been the greatest player since the time you stepped on the ice. Or you might just have outlasted everyone and played longer. Or, Jeff, maybe you just
my boy,
more than everyone else, right? But one sport always seems to have this debate about who the GOAT is because there's just so many different ways to think about it, right? And I'm talking about the NBA. And so this week, I decided to do a little test, put up some polls with some information given as to how to select those players. As you see here for the point guards, I chose championships and MVPs, which go for all of them. But for each position, I chose a category that kind of goes along with that position a little bit. Point guards are known for assists, right? So I included assists in here. And everybody, overwhelmingly, and I believe correctly, chose Magic Johnson. And if you look at the stats down there in the bottom right, you can see why I say that. Steph Curry is still playing, and he has a very good chance of getting to Magic's rings and MVP number. I don't think he's going to touch the assist number, but, we'll see. So the votes came in and said Magic Johnson is the GOAT amongst the point guards, right? That's why I need to foreshadow that. I'm doing this by position, and then we'll get to the end. So for point guards, it's Magic Johnson. Would you agree or disagree, Jeff?
Sure.
Jeff says sure. Okay. So then we go to the shooting guards, Jeff. Okay. It gets a little interesting here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
How many people know who Sam Jones is?
Probably nobody.
Do you know who Sam Jones is, Jeff?
I know lots of Sams. I know lots of Joneses.
Sam Jones has 10 NBA championship rings. Jeff, how do you not know who Sam Jones is?
I don't know.
Sam Jones played on those Boston Celtics teams.
I got Alzheimer's.
Yeah, Sam Jones is an old guy, right?
Yep.
10 rings, no MVPs, 45.6% field goal percentage. But really, the only two that we're talking about here are the ones in the middle. I mean, George Gervin, for as nice as he was, finger roll, he's just shifty. He was such a great shooter. No rings, no MVPs. So it's got to be Jordan here, right? Everybody says Jordan. Everybody always brings Jordan up in the GOAT debate. It seems to be Jordan versus LeBron. Mm-hmm. And Kobe, in my opinion, is the closest thing that we've seen to Michael Jordan, right? I mean, and look at the numbers. 5 rings to 6, 4 MVPs to 5. Shooting percentage was a little bit less because Jordan took it to the hole a little bit more. Kobe started to rely on the three-point shot later in his career and just used to chuck up a bunch of shots, right? When he had nobody on his team. So, yes, I agree with this. What about you?
Sure.
All right. Excellent. So we've got Magic for the point guards. We've got MJ for the shooting guard. Now, here's where the debate picked up a little bit of intensity with Miss Purple Haze, okay? Because she said LeBron should not be in this category because he's a hybrid player, okay? And I agree with her. He is a hybrid player, but traditionally he's listed as a small forward, which is why I included him in this group. And if we talk through these guys, Pippen might as well be the first point forward that ever existed, right? Pippen used to bring the ball up when Jordan wasn't there. Hell, he even brought it up when Jordan came back. So he's the NBA career leader in steals, 2307. He's got 6 rings, no MVPs, unfortunately, because he played beside Michael Jordan. But Pippen's a hell of a player, right? He's one of the 50 greatest players of all time. You got John Havlicek, 6 rings himself. Not as many steals, no MVPs, but he's got those rings. Sometimes championships mean a little bit more. Then you go LeBron, 3 rings, 3 MVPs, coming up 1,800 steals. You go Larry Bird, who a lot of people, he played point guard. You got Bird, 3 rings, 3 MVPs, 1,400.
Larry!
Right. So this was a toss-up between LeBron and Larry Bird. Okay.
Let's go, Larry.
LeBron came out ahead. Do you agree with this, Jeff?
No, Larry Bird, number 1.
Larry Bird is who you're going with. Why,
Larry Bird. I like Larry Bird.
Why would you go Larry Bird over LeBron?
I like Larry Bird.
Because I like him.
I like Larry Bird.
Okay.
So what does she think?
Okay. Hi, Purple.
Yeah. Hey, Ryzak. I love this poll. Obviously, I forget 2 days in a row. I was like trying to, in between meetings, see where you were responding and stuff. And I think I lost track of it. But no, I liked it.
So, did you agree with Magic?
Yeah, I agree with, Magic. I think, again, Magic is a hybrid. But I was saying, to revolutionize that position the way he did, sure. I think that's a solid.
Yeah, and Jordan over Kobe.
Jordan over Kobe, 100%.
All right, so we're caught up to this point now. This is where you took offense. LeBron as the small forward.
Well, I took offense because you said you didn't say a 3. Right. I think what I was saying is you specifically put up here, let's go to the front court selections. And I saw where you were going, but I was trying to get to what were you defining as a front court, back court? Like, to me, that's where I had it. It was on the definition of what you were saying was a front court player.
That coffee went down wrong. Sorry. I'm not the smartest guy, Purple Haze, okay?
Got that
and
right.
I'm not going to pay for the blue check mark so I can go back and edit my tweets, okay? So you calling me out was very personal against my educational level, all right? And I was offended, and I had to go on the defensive quick. So then I started putting up stats. I'm just playing with you. You know that. No, so this position is hard, right? Because you're right. LeBron he's played all 5 positions if you want to get right down to it, right? He's lined up at center in some games, but I think traditionally when a lineup is given,
have they ever won when
given
lined up? Have they ever? So we will talk about these people who line up in multiple positions, but yes, he has lined up in all, right?
Yeah. I mean, Bird played the 4.
Right. But I think like when we think about the true 3,
Bird.
you know, that's where I was saying the true 3. Just like when we go to the power forwards, you know, the true 4s in the sense of it, not the hybrids, like, right? LeBron.
So let me ask you this: what would list out a true 3? What would be the definition of a true 3? Somebody that only plays the small forward position?
I mean, that's what I was trying to get to. That's what I was trying to ask. I think that was the point of my conversation. Is
yeah.
When we get to the greatest of all time, what is a true, like, it's like Steph Curry. You know, I know you mentioned him earlier. Would I consider him a true point? No. Right? If you got to put Steph Curry in the same category that you put Iverson in, right? Which is like a scoring point, which is not necessarily a point. Now, granted, they're phenomenal players, but I think that's where I was starting to take issue. Is that
all good?
Ooh, taking issue with the Ryzak.
No, she doesn't have issue with me. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, right? Because there's so much interpretation to how you're going to grade this. I mean, for example, we're talking about what position we should talk about somebody for, right? We're not even including names like Isaiah Thomas in here, who's one of the greatest point guards of all time. You know, there's so many legends that we could talk about, but I specifically wanted to choose 3 things: championships and MVPs being up there, because I think that really signifies greatness. You know, did you win, and were you the best in the league at that time? So those 2 I kind of kept for everybody, and then I just went off of a different stat because I wanted to include some different people in here to bring up conversation, because I feel like the guys from the 50s and the 60s get forgotten about. Mm-hmm. Unless your name is Wilt Chamberlain, you know, you
Bill Russell
forgotten about. And Bill Russell, right? And a lot of those guys really paved the way, introduced a lot of theories that are used today. You know, the pick and roll was created in the 60s, right? Like we wouldn't have eventually somebody would have figured it out, but they called it the pick and roll, right? Like just you got to talk about some of these guys, and people get off course because they're like, oh, well, they don't play against the talent that's played today. Everybody adapts and evolves together. And there's always going to be people better, right? So why discredit people that started off, you know, playing it and kind of making the game? So it's just a tough conversation. So I don't know how to do it. I'm asking for help here.
I think the 3, like the LeBron one was less. I think where I started to get really invested was in the 4, which will come in later. But to me, when we think of, oh yeah, this entire list, I was offended. Like I was like this list.
You didn't like Ori being up there. You didn't like Ori.
Well, once I started to dive into it, I was like, okay. And then and this is where I thought. So for me, when we talk about the greatest player, it was like I think you weighted championships high. And to me, I don't necessarily weight that one as high as others. Like when we talk about LeBron and Kobe, I'm like, you need to throw in the coach in there as well. You need to throw in so many other elements to talk about. You need to talk about health. You need to talk about so many things when championships. And I think for people who win championships, and they have many of them, their award is they won many championships. Like, you know, but when we're talking about GOATs, I always think about evolutions of the game. And you mentioned
I'm sorry. One of the biggest things, and this goes to your point, one of the biggest things I hear about is the conversation seems to be centered around LeBron and Jordan, right? Whenever you hear this debate come up, it's always LeBron versus Jordan. And the first thing everybody goes to downplay LeBron is he doesn't have as many championship wins. Or if he's been to as many, it's that he's lost some, right? So the championship thing does weigh a lot for some, I think, when it comes to that generalization of it. But remember, this is a team sport. We're talking about the greatest player of all time.
Exactly.
So this is exactly why I did this. And I'm glad you're having the opinion you have, because there's got to be there's got to be a standard for what you're evaluating. And until that standard for what you're evaluating is put out to everybody to measure it by the same one, this debate is never going to be solved. I just don't think it ever will.
The chat seems to think Jordan. The chat's thinking Jordan.
Chat seems to think it's Jordan.
Yeah, we got Ray and Crow are here, and
Jordan's a hell of a player, right?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think Jordan, the reason I would say Jordan is, I mean, one thing that he gets underestimated with, because he played with some of the greatest defensive players of all time as well, is he was a two-way player. You know, he was like kind of one of those first two-way players that if you give him the ball.
Of his status. Of his status. Yeah. Right. Correct. Like to be the superstar, but also be a two-sided player.
To be a two-sided player. And I mean, you played Ryzak, and like, sure, when you're in middle school and high school, you can dominate just by pure athleticism, right? But once you start getting to those higher levels, like AAU or so forth, if you're the scorer, very rarely do we put the score on the other team's best score, right? Because you get tired, right? Your legs give, especially. And so for him to do that, I think that doesn't get talked about enough, that if we look back at those playoffs when he was going up against some of the other scorers, people who ran around. I mean, one of the greatest shots of this person's career, Reggie Miller, right? Just always just getting out there in the wings and so forth. Who was on him? Was it Pippen? It was Jordan, right?
Yep.
Running around with that guy the entire time, and then Jordan still having to average over 30-something points a game, right? And so that's why I think Jordan's a fine choice. Everything underneath that, you start to have to ask yourself, what did they contribute? And I always put a lot to who evolved the game. So in championships, we'll talk about in the 5, Bill versus Will Chamberlain, right?
Yeah.
Bill has way more rings, but big man to big man, it's Will.
I think Lee has solved the debate once and for all.
Jordan Monsters ass in Space Jam.
He did.
Hey,
I think Lee has solved it. I think Lee has solved it.
Bill Murray for 6th man of the year. Bill Murray for 6th man of the there we go.
Murray.
Can you argue with that? Did LeBron do that in Space Jam too? I haven't seen it. I don't know.
I have not seen
He did. Let me ask you this though. The reason and let me tell you why I selected these people. Maybe now that I can explain it a little bit better, it will make a little more sense, right? Because yes, I did weight championships because that was one of the key factors. Robert Horry has a lot of rings when it comes to people in that power forward category. Okay, I mean Duncan's got 3, and we all know
he's not even a power forward. That was my whole point on this one. It was like
he played power forward.
He's more of a small forward.
I'm not denying that, but I'm just saying he played power forward.
Oh my gosh, you might as well put Magic in this list.
Well, Bob Pettit. Look at those numbers there. Would you think that Bob Pettit should not be in that conversation?
No, for sure. I mean, I think Bob Pettit's he's obviously considered great. He was
the first ever MVP, and he won 2 of them.
I think an evolution of the game. Like, I think that's what I talk about. An evolution of the game. Totally okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so are you okay with Karl Malone being on this list? Take all the off-court stuff aside, Purple Haze. I'm talking about the player.
No, I mean, okay, so this is another one where I think you were picking and choosing different things, right? No rings, correct. 2 MVPs. We could argue if he deserved those 2 rings.
Here's Jordan.
Playing with someone you obviously put as top point guard of all time. playing with potentially one of the best shooters of all time, Jeff Hornacek. You know, again, playing in a system. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. I'll give
Hey,
you him because he does epitomize the stereotypical workhorse forward.
He was the rebounder, right? He was the rebounder. He was the tough guy. You know, he was
Going up
better
against-
Charles Oakley.
Going up against again Western Conference 90s, two of the greatest power forwards who aren't even on this list. You know, I thought that was the funniest thing. Is we've had the conversation about power forwards before. You listed these two players, and I was like, "What? What is going on here?"
Yep. Well, this was the list. Do you agree with Duncan, or do you think it should be somebody else?
I think Duncan should be on the list, but I don't think Duncan's the greatest power forward of all time. No, I don't think he's the GOAT.
Who is your greatest power forward of all time, Purple Haze?
Dennis Rodman.
Okay. I like it. He's got the
Dennis
rings,
Rodman.
he's got the rebounds, he's got the tattoos.
If you think about, when we think about the player, you mentioned a dynamic, interesting enough, team and player. Dennis Rodman doesn't get credit for being the team player he was. Dennis Rodman, if we think about dynasties, if we think about the Detroit Pistons, if we think about the Spurs, we think about the Bulls, he was part of either the height of those, the rebound of those, or what kicked off that dynasty, right?
And nobody goes to Vegas in the middle of a championship series to do hookers and blow in the middle of a championship series anymore. Like, come and
these guys try now, but they dress in women's clothes to do it. So
and who these days is going to who out there is going to North Korea and negotiating nuclear disarmament? Other than right, if that would make Ambassador Rodman should be the GOAT, should he not? Just for him, his bestie, Kim Jong-un.
I'm just saying, Dennis Rodman was doing so many things. He was doing social media before social media. He was playing. He was.
Wasn't he playing drunk? Wasn't he drunk half the time?
Carmen Electra, enough said.
Electra. I mean, if you're talking about greatest of all time, you're talking about the story arc. His life story arc, right? A lot of people talk, not to take shots at LeBron, but since LeBron was 9 years old, his mom was getting free stuff. You know, like there's a point, like I'm not doubting like what it takes to be a single mom and raising a child. But when you look at Dennis Rodman, like just everything about that guy, you know, he doesn't come off as, if you've seen him in person, the dude is jacked. Back in the day, like he was strong.
He was in shape.
He was somewhat of an undersized four, and for him,
slimmer, but he was built.
He was the upper body strength. Otis Thorpe comes to my mind. He was a more skilled Otis Thorpe, if we know who that another great power forward who probably doesn't get the respect he deserves.
In my opinion, it's Charles Barkley, right? But he doesn't have the championships.
Barkley's, I could argue Barkley too. And that's why when I saw this list with Malone, one of the things I always think about, and this is again a LeBron knock, but it's nothing he could control. When we think about the Western Conference power forwards back in the 90s versus what LeBron was going up against in the late 20s, early 2010s, when he was doing all that, there's really no competition in the Eastern Conference.
And there's a lot of guys that probably would have made this list had injuries not derailed their career. I'm thinking like a Sean Kemp. I'm thinking like a Larry Johnson.
Supersonics, exactly who I was about to say again. Yeah. Again, in this era of Western Conference dominance, and Sean Kemp is a very different power forward than a Charles Barkley, than a Karl Malone. Like they're all different, right? One's an attacker, one's more of like your team player, one is you're gonna get in your face and like you go down the line, they're gonna hurt you, right? Like that's why I think this one is what set off, and then that's when I started digging into all your.
Hey, Ray said you got to respect Ori's rings, okay? Big shot, Bob. All right, big shot, Bob.
I mean, I'm a Houston Rockets fan, right? That's where he got his first 2 rings, but he wasn't the power forward on the Rockets during this time. And so that's where I was like, okay, like, yes, I think there's the championship are more to do with free agency and that you were able to get a player on the veteran minimum. And we don't talk about like the locker room presence, right? And soft things that we don't think about. I'm not going to give him go to versus the players we just listed. That's why I was like,
put Mark Madsen on this list, but you'd get mad at me. All right. The guy made $84 million in his career and won 2 championships, and you don't even know who he is.
well, there was another list, right, that we were thinking about that we talked about.
Yeah.
So, but that was the thing. Power forward is, for one, is again, we think, we talked about this, right? Defense is underrated, right?
Yep.
Media doesn't like that. If you watch
because it's all things that you can put on a stat book, right? And what happens there? It's assists, rebounds, and points. I mean, that's really the 3 like key metrics of everybody's game.
But we don't look at like what Barkley was really good at, what Rodman was really good at. Like those guys would have probably more rebounds if you think about the times that they have to block out to allow the 5 to get the rebound. Like there's so many things that the 4 has to do. And there's so many times that, okay,
constant support at the 4.
Constant support. Sometimes you put and some of these guys were the premier defender on their teams. So not only are they playing literally the 5 on defense, and also the 4 sometimes, depending on how your offensive set is. You're also sometimes putting these guys on the 3, the 2, depending on where you're in. And so that's where, to me, like,
the game's changed. You can't have the same conversation for everybody. And I think that was more my point to this, is that I constantly see this GOAT debate come up, and people just want to throw names based off of who they liked, right? What are you critiquing? Like, what is your criteria for your decision? And if it's just because that's who you like, then fine. You're calling them the GOAT because you like them, all right? Are we talking about who the greatest rebounder is of all time? Are we talking about the greatest scorer? Are we talking about the greatest support? Like, what is it? But to talk about the greatest player when all 5 positions play differently, they all have an impact in the game differently, right? Look at the center list here. I mean, these are 4 huge names. I don't know that you could tell me I was off base with these 4 names, but Shaq got no love. Shaq changed the game more than any of these guys. They had to change the backboard system because of him. The hack of Shaq that came in. Like, Shaquille O'Neal was a dominant man.
So here's the reason I did not vote Shaq. And I'm biased to this. Is because when we saw Shaq versus a premier center, and it's not fair to Shaq, he was earlier in his career, but we saw Shaq just be made a fool of by Hakeem Olajuwon. Fancy footwork.
Yao Ming had his time with Shaq as well.
Yeah. You see, like when you have a center who does not, like, Shaq is great if you post him down, and you need a center who posts up. So someone who probably would struggle against Shaq, Patrick Ewing. Right, Patrick Ewing didn't have the greatest touch around the rim. A great center, phenomenal center, but he would struggle. But when you have a center who has a couple of tricks, Yao Ming, to his credit, had some fancy footwork. Hakeem Olajuwon, probably the center with the best footwork we've ever seen. Absolutely. He just got destroyed. So then that's when I look at, all right, Bill and Wilt. This is where this debate is. Kareem did a phenomenal job. But we know what basketball and what was around him to allow that to happen when that happened. But Bill and Wilt is what ushered in the big man era. So,
and it's a shame that their blocks weren't tracked, because Wilt had a ton of blocks, right? He'd probably be the league leader in blocks if they kept track of that stat when he played. I mean, I imagine, like, going back in time and everything's black and white because that's the way it shows on TV. And I just walk in and I see like a very grainy Wilt Chamberlain standing at the rim with all these little white guys like throwing up these softballs. And he's just like, pop, pop. That's what I imagine when I think of Wilt Chamberlain, right? But which one of these centers did you pick?
Oh, Wilt. I went with Wilt Chamberlain.
You went with Wilt. Okay. All right. That's cool. That's cool. They're. I mean, look at the numbers down there. I mean, they're all phenomenal centers. They all had a huge impact on the game when they played. Right. They're all in the discussion. So here we go. Your GOAT might not be on this list, Purple Haze, because I know you like Rodman, but of these guys right here, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably order this. Like, I understand what like MJ, right? I think that is where it is. I'm not just saying that because of uh I may not like a person that they compare him to, but I think you kind of see where I'm coming. Who's an evolution of the game? Who's true to the game? Who actually uh up leveled some portion of the game, and MJ did it probably the most. Yeah,
He took it to another level on the court, but he also impacted it off the court.
And
you
then
didn't see somebody impact it like with that cool factor until MJ and Iverson, and some of these other guys like picked up off that, added their style. But MJ is really the one that became that marketed player, I think. I mean, you could talk about like Converse ads back in the 70s with Dr. James. It's not the same. It wasn't a brand, it wasn't a movement. So, Jeff, what about you? What do you think? Take somebody on this list. I know you don't really care because none of them are Toronto Raptors, but
why was there no love for Vincent Carter, the greatest dunker of all time in all-star game dunk competitions? Just saying.
Vince Carter.
I'm just saying.
I don't even think Vince Carter's the best in his family. You know where I represent. So.
Wow, Mama Carter getting some love there. Grandma Carter getting some love over her grandson. Nice.
I mean, I thought that dunk contest, right? If we go back to it, I mean, probably the greatest dunk contest ever. Vince Carter, T-Mac, and I believe that's the one with Steve Francis, if I'm not mistaken. I think that is the three-way dunk contest. And to give
Maryland
how strong, usually if you see shorter players go up against taller players, there's a bias towards the shorter player. And Steve Francis was doing like 360s off the backboard for Vince Carter to win that. Yeah. And I
That's
still
think he put his arm in the basket.
Yeah, he just let it hang that. Like he, ridiculous. Like all of them were just, I mean, that was the dunk contest. I think Michael Redd and some others had some other great dunk contests around that time. But yeah, Vince Carter was good, but I don't think he's better than T-Mac. No.
All right, Jeff. So who on this list? No Vince Carter. Who you got?
Which is the Dallas Cowboy? Hang on, let me.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, Dallas Cow. Shout out to Jim. Let's go with Bill Russell.
Going with Bill. I mean, that's not a bad pick, right? It's not a bad pick at all. He's got the most championships of anybody in NBA history, and
he's an oldie. He's an oldie.
When he played.
He's an oldie. The chat's Lake Jordan. The chat's Lake
and Jordan. I don't know if I've ever told you this before, so this might come as a shock to you. But one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because I always look for an opportunity to defend this player in this debate.
Uh-oh.
Because in my opinion, the greatest NBA player of all time is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
He's also a great actor. Did you see him on Big Bang Theory?
Yep.
Did you see him on?
I say that is because you were talking earlier about the two-way player, right? You're talking about the offensive and the defensive player, and he was definitely that. But he was multifaceted, right? He had everything that you could want in a player. He could bring the ball up court. He could handle the ball. He was the point man on the pick and roll, the sky hook. He brought the sky hook to fame, right? I mean, he rebounded, he blocked, he played forever. And yes, I said this is the NBA GOAT, but I have to be swayed to him a little bit for what he did in college. I mean, the guy he wins, and he was just better than everybody. And so Jordan's awesome, LeBron's awesome, and those two will always be in that conversation for me. But because I love LeBron, I do. I love LeBron as a player. With all of the flaws that he has as well, from the flopping and the crying and all that stuff too. But I just love LeBron. But my GOAT's Kareem. So we can talk about this another day too. But that's
I know you have a show, but I'll just leave the last question. How can you pick the best player of all time if he wasn't even the best player on his team? That's all I'm gonna say. Leave it at that. No, but thank y'all for letting me.
You can stay if you want for the rest of the show, unless you have to go.
No, I like your show. I like being in chat and just messing with y'all. So I do like that. But I'll leave you that. We'll have to talk again in Ryzak group.
This was a great surprise. Thank you for coming on, because this was
like
you were on my mind when I was doing this. So
yeah.
thanks, Perp. All right, so there we go. Purple Haze agrees with me. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest player ever.
There you go.
You kicked her off right at the right time. I love it. Yeah.
No, she left. No, she left. I didn't kick her out.
I thought
Kareem is a better actor. I know. Kareem's a great
Give
actor.
her a chance to respond.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. Post of the week time.
Oh dear.
Here we go. Here we go. What do you got this week for me, Jeff? What the hell is this?
I wish the library system. This is a thinking man's joke. I wish the library never stopped using the Dewey Decimal System. We actually use it. I think you mean card catalog. Same thing. What's the difference? Well, the Dewey Decimal System is a detailed method of organizing information. The card catalog is furniture. I laughed my head off when I read, because in the olden days, you had that, the card catalog. That it was a piece of furniture. Yeah. And then you open the drawers, and then you had the cards, the index cards, based on the Dewey Decimal System. But everyone, well, just go look it up in the card catalog. Well, it's actually furniture. It's a thinking man's joke.
And I tell you what, that librarian would come right over and would know if you had a card out of place, and she'd be licking the thumb, and she'd be flipping through that thing. Yeah. I told you last night, and I didn't look. I forgot. I don't know if anybody in the chat would know, but when I was in elementary school in the 80s, they used to play a video for us about like these space travelers that had to come back to Earth to find a library, and they used the Dewey Decimal System. And I cannot remember the name of that thing that they used to have us watch. But when you sent this to me, that was immediately what popped into my head. If you know, right?
Yeah. Welcome, Bruce Campbell, to the show. Bruce is late, but always never too late. Always good to be here. This is not my real post of the week. My real post. It is not. It was just the joke of the real post of the week is this nonsense. So it has come out that apparently Jimmy isn't the nicest guy in the world. Apparently he's got a toxic work environment, and he has since come out and apologized and I guess pretending to feel bad or some. I've never been a fan of him. Obviously I used to watch Jimmy Carson back in the day. I didn't even really like Leno. I used to watch Letterman over Leno. And then he took over. Well, I guess Conan took over for a smidge there, but and then he took. I've just never been a fan of him. I don't watch it. I watch Seth. I'll watch the other Jimmy. Obviously John Oliver. I don't even watch Stephen Colbert. Yeah. But it's come out. So what do you think? Is it, I have two, I have two minds of this. Sometimes I just like, just suck it up. It's a job. You don't like it, quit. And then other parts of me are like, oh, well, whatever.
I feel like we hear this story a lot when it comes to these media shows, There's two things. Okay, so little preface here. I became a manager when I was 17 years old. And my dad was also a very young manager. He was a superintendent of a park. So if you imagine you go into a park, you go through the gates, you get to enjoy all of that greenery and everything. My dad managed that, right, for the park system. So I went to him. I got a job as a kitchen manager.
Good point.
And I went to him and I said, look, I'm 17. How do I tell 40-year-old men what to do? And he gave me two bits of advice that I've never, ever forgotten. And it's don't forget where you come from and treat people the way you want to be treated. Okay. I feel like the fame and the attention messes with everybody, regardless of who you are, regardless of how small or how big you are. The one of the things that excites you about being in front of the camera or being on the screen is that you want people to enjoy you, and you want people to, you kind of feed off of it, right? We all look at viewership numbers when we're doing this, right? You want more people to view it because then maybe more people will like it. And he's been going on for so long. I mean, remember, he was just this young guy on Saturday Night Live, and then yada yada. So it plays to the story for me in my mind of that Hollywood ego. We've seen, I think somebody said Ellen as well. Bruce said Ellen. There was some talk about her show.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I forgot. Yes, good call there, Bruce. I forgot people were mad at Ellen too. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yep. So
Bruce makes a good point. Remember, Bruce makes a good point. Remember how you treat people on the way up. They'll remember it on your way down.
Yeah, exactly. And
You know?
so I'm not surprised by it, to be quite honest with you. I do feel, and this might be unrelated, but I do feel like politics get into these talk shows, um, you know, and that kind of changes things too, because there's different people in the room, and some people feel like they have to watch their mouth and they can't speak up or they can't say things. And when I say politics, I'm not talking about just like the Democrats, Republicans politics. I'm just talking about the politics of work, right?
Yeah.
And so these people are brought in as interns, or they're brought in as low level employees, and they're just treated like shit because you got to earn it. You got to earn it in this business, right? So
any business, not just TV, but any business. And it sounds like they've had different senior leadership, different showrunners, and I guess there's been other turnaround, and just look at all the nonsense that was going on at Linus Tech Tips over the last a lot more is coming out. So am I surprised? Not really. Do I care? Not really. I don't really watch the show. Other people I know love the show. It's just I just don't find him funny. Someone else said Crow said he wasn't funny. I just don't find him funny. And and he works for NBC. So they came out with a token statement. Wasn't a ringing endorsement for him. So I don't know. Is he gonna maybe when the strike? They're not on right now. They're obviously not producing. He's doing the 5. He's doing the. He's on
strike too, right?
He's doing strike. He's not on strike. But they're not doing
the
shows.
Podcast with all the other.
He is doing Strike Force 5. He's doing the podcast. It'll be interesting to see if they mention this. If he drops off that, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few months.
Issues an apology on there or something.
He did issue he did an apology right away within a few hours of this coming out. He did issue a statement, an apology, and blah blah blah. But I don't know. This cropped up. Whoops, no, wrong one. That one. It just cropped up yesterday, and I thought we should just talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate for those employees.
It is, and I made a joke earlier in the chat when Purple Haze was on. Everybody's offended about something. It's 2023 now. It's everybody's offended about something. There's just lots of you got to watch what you say, and people aren't sometimes taking the crap we used to take when we were younger. Well, maybe not you, but when I was younger, right? So. Was Fallon one of the hosts who ensured that the crew were paid and the crew couldn't work? Yeah, he was one of them. Yeah, I know John Oliver did. I know Kimmel did. I don't know about Fallon. Don't know if he did or not. So
Bruce says that he got millions of dollars in PR on this. What do they say? There's no such thing as bad press, right?
Yeah. Well, I know this could be bad press if NBC fires him. If NBC, they do some more investigation and more something. So, anyways, there you go.
We see these guys. I wonder too what it's got to be like to be him. I want to put the shoe on the other foot, right? Like to be that guy that has to say things, that has to come up with the jokes, to have to be the entertainer. I mean, at some point in time, and I'm not making an excuse for him or anything. I'm just at some point in time, you got to become tired, right? Mm-hmm. And I am very guilty of when I'm tired, somebody in my house asks me a question and I'm like, I'm very quick to like snap back. Right. So, maybe some of it has to do with that. Not trying to make excuses, but I wonder what that pressure, what that stress feels like. I don't want it by any means, but I just wonder if that has anything to do with him.
Yeah, we discussed we did not discuss Danny Manderson. I'm not sure if we're going to discuss.
We
Danny
did originally
Manderson.
When the charges got brought up, but we didn't talk about the ending here. But 20, what is it? 20
30
years?
30 years.
30
years. So yeah.
They've of 2 women, right? 2 women is what it was.
I didn't follow. I didn't follow it too closely.
I thought I read 2. So
And somebody
very hopeful that those victims got their at least a piece of vengeance.
Somebody fact checked me. There was Martin Short was trending on the Twitters yesterday. I think because there was an old clip of him calling Fallon out or calling him a piece of shit or something. There was something like that. Somebody fact checked me on that. I didn't get a chance to to dive deep on that. So, but
yeah.
You're right about the whole tire thing because on the Strike Force 5 the podcast, what's his name? Fallon. Jimmy Kimmel was saying he was thinking about retiring. He was thinking about retiring. But so there you go.
To keep that level all the time. You're like a puppet at some point.
Yes.
You're doing award shows.
Yeah.
You're doing your show. You're doing interviews. You're doing a game show. You're doing there's just a lot of stuff going on. So, I don't know. Interesting. Hey, Thursday night, NFL season kicked off, right? Detroit Lions had an upset of the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs. They won 21-20. Yeah. I watched the first half of that game and a little bit of the second half, but then I fell asleep, Jeff, because I'm getting older by the minute.
For sure.
Kansas City looked good in the first half, Jeff. They got I forgot what they call it, but when you score right before halftime and then you get the ball second half, there's like a term for it. And they did it right. They got the quick point before halftime. They had the 7-point lead.
Yep.
And then they were going to get the ball back, looking to go ahead. Boom, boom. They have no Travis Kelce. They have no Chris Jones because he's still holding out. He was watching the game from a box up above. And then you got the Lions, who were, probably the most impressive team in the second half of the regular season last year. A lot of momentum. They just couldn't quite make the playoffs. And it looks like they picked that right back up. They had a great draft. They got some really good young talent on the team.
Yes, sir.
They got a coach who's energetic and passionate and loves his players.
Former Dallas Cowboy.
Jeff, they showed up and they stunned. But this was the big thing. I know you were talking about this with me last night. I couldn't find the meme, so I threw this up. But where did the receivers go in the second half, Jeff? Why did the game change so much?
That's and not to defend KT, but he didn't play much in the preseason, so he's got some he had some rust. I questioned Ray yesterday. 4th and 25 with over a minute left and 3 timeouts. Why are you going for it? Okay, it was 4th and 20, and then there was a penalty made at 4th and 25. Why are you going for it? Okay, yes, I know you got Patrick Mahomes, and sure, if KT had caught that ball, they probably would have scored, and it would be a completely different conversation that you and I would be having right now. I've been a big fan of MCDC since the Hard Knocks, since he did the Hard Knocks. Day one of training camp, they were there. He's out there doing burpees with the team. Did I mention he's a former Dallas Cowboy? Did I mention that?
Mm-hmm.
Did I mention that? No. Okay.
You'll mention it again, so no worries.
Okay, cool. And what nobody talks about. They're inside their 20. He goes for it on 4th down on the fake punt. Calls a fake punt inside their 20, and they made it. And then they went down and scored. So was that the turning point of the game? Right? Nobody talks about that, right? I think I picked Detroit to win.
Though, wasn't it?
That was in the first half. So what?
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares what half it is?
Yeah.
Still a play.
They were still losing at halftime, so I don't think it was a turning point of the game. I think that if they did not do that, they could have fallen behind really bad, and then it's not like it put them into like the lead of the game, I think is what I'm thinking by turning point.
I got you. Okay.
It was an important part of the game. I'll give you that.
Sure.
Because he called it on like their 28-yard line. So they give up the ball right there. They get stopped. That's should be at least an easy 3, right?
Yeah. But you know what? If Kansas City goes 14-3, nobody's talking about this. They're gonna win their division. They'll probably they'll have the second best record behind the Jets. And they will lose in the championship game to said Jets. And then everyone
picks.
Everyone will come back to this play, I guess.
We're gonna have to go back to our picks from a couple of weeks ago later on. We'll have to revisit that halfway through, and then towards the end of the season, because you've got the Jets and I've got the Bengals, and the Bengals now have their man for another 5 years, because Joe Burrow is now the highest paid player in NFL history for this week until somebody gets a new contract next week.
Correct. That's correct. It was shout out to Ray, Mr. Bosa for like an hour. Didn't he hold it for like an hour?
That's what I'm getting at. It's like these guys become the highest paid player, and then you flip the news article and another guy is.
So I want to thank Ray for giving Bosa all that money, because all that means is next year Micah is going to get even more.
Well, the 49ers are going to find themselves in a salary cap pickle next year. They've got a lot of guys that are at a $10 million annual average value. And if that salary cap doesn't get bumped like people are anticipating, they're going to have to make some harsh decisions. Especially on the
it will.
Side of the ball.
Oh, it will.
Yep.
Oh, it will.
Yep.
Yeah.
You look at this contract here, Jeff, and it says that he's the highest paid player in NFL history.
Not really.
When you look at the numbers, it's not the largest overall contract for the position because Patrick Mahomes signed the $450 million 10-year contract, right? But
correct.
You look at all of these positions going through, and there's a lot of head-scratching contracts in here. I mean, Trent Williams, $130 million, he deserves every bit of it. Aaron Donald does. Bosa, you can give him his money too. I looked down there at Landon Collins, that $84 million the Redskins gave him to come over from the Giants was a crapshoot. And then Young Ho Koo, who's the kicker for the Atlanta Falcons at $24.2 million. How is that not Justin Tucker? I don't know.
He's a good kicker.
Look at a punter making $22 million.
Well, look at that long snapper making $6 billion. Oh, look at that long snapper for the brand.
Spins that thing tight.
For the brand.
Oh man.
For the brand. Let me tell you, for the brand.
Like I said, these numbers will change before the next contract, so don't hold your breath.
Yep.
All right, the FIBA World Championship, Jeff. The only game to care about starts at 4:30 tomorrow morning. It's the third place game between the U.S. and Canada, Jeff. Woo!
Let's go. Canada going to the Olympics, baby. We're going to the Olympics.
At 7 a.m. tomorrow morning Eastern, you get the final, which is Germany versus Serbia. And it's going to be a great game. Germany played their ass off against the U.S. Serbia played very well against Canada. This is going to be a great matchup. I'm kind of glad the U.S. isn't there because I enjoy basketball, Jeff. I do. And
couldn't tell.
I like watching it from a coach's standpoint. I like to see plays. I like to see defense. I don't want to just see showboating and the guy running. I don't get into all of that stuff. I want to see execution of a play.
Yeah.
And both of these teams play off of the teammates very, very well. And so this is going to be a very fun matchup to watch. Hopefully, well, I don't want to hope that either team wins because I don't really have a dog in the fight, but I do like Dennis Schroeder. I don't think Dennis Schroeder gets valued enough, so we'll
see. Yeah.
Next, we talk about GOATs. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say sailing also is back this weekend, so you'll see a bunch of tweets from me today about Sail GP in Canada. Let's go! All right, anyways.
I feel like Sail GP needs to have Chat GPT sponsor them.
That could be.
It'd be the Chat GPT Sail GP race. Doesn't it have a ring to it? I don't know.
I know. So I sent this to you because because it's the messy thing, and you were like, I gotta fact check this. What the hell is this?
Well, I was looking at the top and it was talking about like the Cup champions and then the Supporters Shield winners and the dates, and I was like, all right, are these people that have just like invested in the team, like? And then when I went and looked, I saw this was the guest list for his game the other day.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of people on here that I have no idea who they are, and if I saw their face, I'd probably know, but I don't. But the one thing that I wanted to point out, I did to you last night. I know you have something to point out too, is that they split up Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They're not after each other.
I thought they split up. Did they not split up? Somebody fact check me. Did they break up? Are they getting divorced? What's going on? I don't follow them, so I have no idea. But yeah, I thought I saw.
They're a couple lines away, which I found interesting. But the entire band of Rage Against the Machine, shout out to Rage Against the Machine, they went to the game. And Jeff, there's some interesting names there at the bottom that you called out.
Yeah, the USC boys, some boys from USC. The future number one pick of some year, maybe not next year.
Of some year, I was going to say something.
Of some year.
Yeah, we don't know if it's this year or next year. He'll figure out which team he
wants. Well, he's going to be the number one team. Like, what is he expecting? He goes, I want to play for the Cowboys. Well, they're not going to. I want to play for the Redskins. Well, they're not going to have the first overall pick.
Yeah, they're already saying that he's going to do the Eli Manning thing. So
it's just like, if you got the number one pick, you're not that good. That's why you've got the number one pick. Like,
yep.
The Jets aren't going to have. If he wants to play for somebody, just be happy you're drafted and just go do your best and, whatever.
Well, I think this goes to show more that Messi might be the GOAT of soccer, because look at the people that follow him in droves to watch his games. LeBron is now seeing him play twice.
There you go.
Okay.
So my Ryzak will know this because I send them to him. My TikTok is just full of that security guard. They now know his name. They have all his details. They're finding obscure clips of him and shit he's doing during the games. I sent you
champion or something.
Taekwondo and kickboxing, and he's done martial arts. My TikTok is just full of this guy, whoever this guy is. I feel like and the shit that he's doing.
And they said he has like 500,000 followers on social media, and all of his videos are just like his training regimen.
Yeah, he's a former Navy SEAL. Yeah, he's a former Navy SEAL. And they're showing him taking people, and he's blocking people and hiding.
And again, we said it the other day when we showed the video. You remember that video that I showed, or the picture I showed of that guy that did the proposal on the baseball field?
Yeah.
And 3 security guards ran across the field and manhandled him like they were the freight train, right?
Yeah.
This guy has had 2 people run on the field for Messi.
Yeah.
And he handles it with such class.
Yes.
He runs out there, he bear hugs the guy, and he holds him there and starts to slowly walk him away until the stadium security can get there, right? He doesn't try to beat him up. He doesn't try to
he's a lethal weapon. He probably could do damage. He would do damage to anybody, right? And then he would probably get sued. So that's all he can do. Right?
And in that moment, Jeff, when you're meant to protect somebody, the gloves are off,
Yeah.
My job is to protect him. I like the class that he does it.
It's a different protection though. It's not, like protecting the president where someone's going to be shooting at you. Right?
Well, I don't know.
Or a guy running out of the field to shank him, a guy running out on the field to shank him with a shiv or something.
If Messi was walking up the steps to an airplane and he fell, that guy would catch him. He'd be there and he would catch him. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, I saw this list. I know you're a big Messi fan. I saw this list when he's going to, because all the stars come out whenever something's happening in LA, right? And I saw this.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, what about this one? I think this is awesome. So again, grew up a Redskins fan, right? I had the privilege of watching the first African-American quarterback to win a Super Bowl in Doug Williams, right? And you look at this tweet here, the Baltimore Ravens are believed to be the first team in NFL history with an all African-American QB room from players to coaches. So 5 individuals make up the QB room. There they are: Kerry Dixon, Tyler Huntley, Lamar Jackson, Josh Johnson, and T. Martin. So pretty cool, especially in a Rooney Rule era where, there's not opportunities given to people unless, it's out of charity for some rule or whatever you want to call that thing, right? I'm glad it's there. I'm glad people are getting opportunities, but we've seen time and time again that stuff gets used just to appease, and then they move on to whatever retread, they want to go with. So kudos to the Baltimore Ravens. They do stuff like this all the time. Mike Harbaugh, Ozzie Newsome, they've got that team running awesome. So just think that this is really awesome. Good badge to wear.
Yep. They're going to be a good team. They're going to be a good team.
They will.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, Ron Slusher's here, Jeff. Ron Slusher's here. So he knows all about this too, I'm sure.
Yes. YouTube playables, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
I don't have it yet.
You're going to be able to play select. You're going to be able to play games right from your YouTube, Jeff.
Excellent.
Right from YouTube.
Excellent.
I feel like I've seen this before.
Oh, really?
Maybe I've heard about it before, but was there I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, Ron Slusher's all over it.
Stadia lives. I love it.
So you know what nobody's talking about, and maybe they are, and I just haven't heard about it. But from the little I've seen about it, nobody is talking about why and what happened before and why now. And everyone kept complaining, oh, YouTube could do more. YouTube should do this. And you know what the problem was? Which I now firmly believe it was Susan. The head of YouTube, she was the problem. it was her. She was stagnant and it was stuck, and YouTube was not doing anything. Look at what's happened since Neil took over, right? Expanded shorts. You're getting paid for shorts. There's just, like every week in the creator emails and there's all sorts of changes they're making. Yes, you can argue the mid-roll and the ad changes they're making could hurt creators. Yes, you could argue that, but that's a topic for another day, right? So since Neil took over, they're doing a lot more videos. Richie is out there promoting as the YouTube liaison. He's hitting all the talk shows. He's hitting all the big shows, all the big podcasts, talking about stuff, right? So, what's Purple say? Their internet games, we'll see if they do anything. Netflix ups their games, so maybe. And what's Ronnie say? Call of Duty coming to playables. So, if Stadia was still around, I think Neil probably would have integrated and done a lot more. Neil has done a lot more for YouTube in the short time he's been there. So, Susan co-founded the thing. Susan was the president forever. She was employee. It was her garage that the Google boys started to Google in. It was her garage that they worked out of. She was just one of the old boys. It was stagnant. It was not growing. It was not.
I didn't know that, Jeff. That's interesting.
Yes, it was. So, back, going back a couple of years ago, I know it's the anniversary of the big shutdown coming up later this month. There may be something going on with Purple and maybe not. Who knows? Can't say.
Mm-hmm.
So, nobody's talking about, what's, all the stuff that's happened at YouTube. And you could argue maybe some of it's bad and you could, maybe, but I think Susan was the cause. I think, she was the one and she didn't want to push it forward. And I think they could have done a lot more. But, Outcasters and Kratom returning. That would be awesome.
I wish Outcasters would return.
I wish they both would return.
I love that little game. And then I like Purple right there. And Purple, I'm right there with you. I would jump back in if.
I'd be right there day one. I'd be right there. I'd be there right day one. Look, I still right here. Look there's my controller. Still got my controller right there.
Behind me.
Look at that right there. It's right here. It's right there. It's grabbing distance.
I don't have another one up there. I got like 5 others in the drawer.
Yeah.
I got Chromecast Ultras coming out the wazoo. White Stadia controllers.
Nice. Anyway, so yes, we'll see what happens, but yeah, that's my take. Is Neil is doing a lot more. They want people to stay on the platform. So here's a fun little fact about YouTube. You will get ad credit and view credit. So if Crow clicks on one of my videos and then when my video ends, even if it's not one of my videos, but there's a recommended video and he clicks on that one and then he clicks on, I get credit for those. I'll get ad credit. I'll get stuff like that because Crow
watch path.
Yes, because he started with me and he keeps watching and and that's what they do is they want people to stay on the platform. Everybody made a huge big deal when if you Googled a game, you could click play on Stadia or play on Amazon Luna right from there. Like, oh, look what Google had been doing that forever. They don't want people to leave their site. So now, when you Google something, the answer is right there in the Google page. You don't have to click on the link. It gives you the answer. And then it gives you the link where it got the answer, and you could go there if you want. But their whole premise was to keep you, they didn't want you leaving. And YouTube is the same way. So this is the first, I think there's going to be a lot more cool things that are going to show up in YouTube because they want you to stay there, right? Especially now, the writer's strike, people aren't watching TV because the writer's strike, people aren't going to be watching the networks because there's no shows to watch. So YouTube is going to step up their game. There's going to be a whole lot of stuff. So
you and Purple Haze are way smarter than me when it comes to this tech stuff and the business of tech and probably what happened with these, with Stadia in general. But I think the way that I imagine it is that they probably fell out because they found there being a challenge and maybe some of those licensing things with the game developers or just whatever it was. I feel like there was a roadblock that they hit that it wound up spending more money than what they were able to recoup in return, right? what bothers me is that you've got Google Play Games, you've got YouTube Gaming, and everything is under this Google umbrella. Like there's just so many different ways of pushing this out there. I wish that they would just do YouTube Gaming or just Google Gaming and just get it over with and roll mobile games and roll all the other stuff and just roll it all into one. They're all your services, right? I have a hard time that they just pulled the plug completely on Stadia and they didn't integrate it into YouTube or they didn't add it into one of their other services. I know that's not how they operate, Jeff. It just still
no, but I think
it was just such a great service.
I think the downturn in the economy and all the tech layoffs affected them. If that hadn't happened and they were still around, I think Neil would have integrated it more. I think Neil would have championed and integrated it more. I firmly believe, Purple can correct me if I'm wrong, Graphics Gear can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the problem was Susan at the head of YouTube, because just look at what Neil has done and look at what they've done all through the whole thing ever since Neil took over. Yeah, that's my hot take. Someone correct me. Someone debate me. Someone debate me. But there you go. Purple has more inside knowledge. So
and I see her comment. There are lots of issues, and I imagine it's not just one thing that was the downfall, right? I mean, there were a lot of things. Need an investment in graphics cards too.
Yep.
Where their failures were, there were other things that they did well that nobody else is doing, and I think those were the things that really invested me in it. So.
And I may talk about this at a future date. I'm actually, I'm kind of glad it's gone.
Yeah, you've said that to me before.
I may expand on it later someday, but at the moment, I'm kind of glad it's gone. So,
okay. I wanted to show this, Jeff, because I've got some questions about this. So Dak Prescott got an awesome leg tattoo. First off, let me just say this thing is awesome. Okay, this thing is like super cool. But he went under anesthesia to do it, and that's kind of like a no-no in the tattoo world. Okay. Now, granted, I've got an arm tattoo. Probably doesn't hurt as bad as the leg. I get it. He's got the money and the time and whatever to do this thing. Totally cool. But it's just kind of like a no-no thing. And so he's getting a lot of criticism for it. But, Jeff, what else is new?
If this was Josh Allen, he would be celebrated. We talked about this before. He is the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, which means he will get hated on. If Patrick Mahomes was the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys and he did this, he would get hated on because it's just who the job is and the team. And I go back recently to this whole Trey Lance thing, and everyone's like, "Oh, Gary didn't tell the coach." But what happened last week? What happened the other day? They signed Bosa. The coach didn't know until 1 minute before the press conference. He's about to go to have a press conference. Oh, by the way, we signed Bosa. He's coming back. And then he walked out there, and of course, everyone was asking him. So he had no idea it was happening right before. But everyone's like, "Oh, well, yeah, it's the 40. Oh, no, yeah, no big deal." If that was the Cowboys. So I just tell people to STFU. I don't care. I all my hater friends, they're saying, Bob Smith said this. Oh, Trey Lance is the starting quarterback of the. I go, who the fuck is this guy? Who? I don't see him as a member of the coaching staff. The fuck are you talking about? Oh, I said, you don't, and these people don't understand football. They're going to train, they're going to get the most out of Trey Lance, and then they're going to fucking trade him for draft picks. That's what they're fucking to fucking do. And then you're going to go, "Oh, look, you got shut up."
We've reached the point of the show where the Dallas Cowboy trigger has now affected Jeff.
And when we win the Super Bowl this year, just like Shadir, just like Shadir, I've got names, and I will be coming after all of you when we win the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, buddy!
And when we win the Super Bowl this year, I am going to be I'm going to be a bigger prick than I ever have been.
Does Jeff need decaf for the Cowboys portion?
Could be.
Oh, I love it. All right.
We're in trouble Sunday night. Our offensive line is banged up, so his leg better be. Our offensive line is banged up on there.
Like Travis Hunter.
You know what, Crow? Heaven help us if the Cowboys ever win the Super Bowl. Yeah. Like if we do, trust me, it will be every conversation.
OnlyFans content.
It will not be. It'll be everywhere. It will be everywhere.
Oh, all right. Well, we've had some fun, Jeff. I've got a little bit of a sad one here as we roll out. This was a baby reveal in Mexico that was done beginning of the week, I think, or last weekend. And the plane flies by, the wing falls off, the plane crashes, the pilot dies. They have no idea. They're celebrating, obviously. It's very exciting for them. They're having a baby girl. But you tweeted this out, and
I did.
You felt very strongly about why do we continue to do these things?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah. And it's not just about doing them. It's about they always got to be taken to another level, right? They always got to outdo the one that was before because they're putting them on social media, right? So a lot of money went into this. I don't know how much it costs to get a plane flyover, but I mean, those letters and I know balloons are expensive when you're buying that many of them. Okay. Mm-hmm. So a lot of money.
Yeah. And who cares what gender it is? More proof gender reveals are bad for us. Exactly. Who cares? Who gives a crap?
I'm just wondering how the baby feels. Does the baby feel like they should be gendered?
If I was the pilot's family, lawsuit. I'd be suing these people. I would be suing them up the wazoo. Oh yeah.
Could you? Why?
You could sue. You could. What happened? What happened?
I don't know.
You know what happened there? Everything died.
Ron Slusher pulled the cord. We were talking about the babies.
Evidently. You could sue them civilly. Yeah. Where are we? Oh, this is Mexico? I don't know. I don't know Mexican law. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know Mexican law.
I imagine that you're paid to do a service that was agreed upon, right? And then that went bad. So should that be the fault of the people that hired you?
Depends on what contracts were signed. Depends on what waivers. It depends on all sorts of things. You know, that was me. Obviously, I would have stuff that says, "Oh, if you die, we're not responsible." But they're probably not. They probably didn't do that. So I don't know. Yeah,
interesting. That's an interesting thought. And that's why I asked the question, because what angle would be taken? I'm sure there's something in the writing that you would find. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sad for the pilot, sad for the pilot's family, and hopefully this baby doesn't ever have to learn that they were revealed in such a tragic way. So
yeah.
All right, Jeffy, let's do it. We were quick last week because I was on a time limit. This week we're getting a little long in the tooth because I decided to get into NBA stuff with Purple Haze, which, by the way, we're still not done yet. So don't think that you won this today, ma'am. You've got 5 guesses for me today. You're setting it up as a draft style. What are we doing?
Do you want to do the intro first? Sorry for the.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. This is like my favorite part. Okay, you ready? Mm-hmm. It's now time for 5 guesses. How's that?
Perfect. All right, now I'm gonna be smart this time, and I'm gonna bring the 2-shot.
Ooh, Jeffy.
Make it better for the editing. So we are doing a draft. And as you can see at the bottom, we are drafting our top 5 foods of all time. Which is why I made the comment, if I was doing this with squids, it would be completely different than if I'm doing it with you. So the top 5 foods of all time. You can go first.
Should I go in numbered order 1 through 5? Or am I just picking just whatever?
Whatever you want. Just let's start. We'll go 1 to 5. Start with your favorite food. Your favorite food of all time.
My favorite food of all time. All right, Jeff. My favorite
in the chat. You guys in the chat too. Throw us your favorite. Throw us your favorite foods of all time. All right. Sorry, I cut you off.
So no, you're good. You're good. My all-time favorite food has to be a pepperoni pizza.
Nice. It's a good choice. That is a solid choice. Mine would be Meat Lovers Pizza. If I had to go pizza, I'm not going to pick pizza because you pick pizza, but mine would be.
We know you like the meat, Jeff. We know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta put that in there. Come on.
That might not make the edit.
Come on, my best behavior now. Come
on. Jim likes meatloaf. Bruce likes a good chicken souvlaki. Yeah. I'm gonna go with my number one pick. It's gotta be something vegan. No. It is going to be a nice, juicy, dripping with grease, with cheese and bacon on a sesame seed bun, a hamburger.
I should have picked burger. My wife would probably roll her eyes that I didn't pick burger because I eat about 10 of them a week. So,
now it gets tough. Right. Now it starts getting tough.
So I'm going to generalize my next answer, but I'm also going to be very specific about my next answer, Jeff.
Sure.
Number 2 on my list, Jeff, is not only chicken nuggets, but McDonald's chicken nuggets.
Nice. Not Harvey's, not Wendy's, nope. Not Chick-fil-A. Nope. I don't know what other.
Going old school. We're gonna stick with that purple gelatin stuff that's breaded and coated and deep fried that goes into my belly ever since I was a little kid.
Yep.
McDonald's chicken nuggets for the win.
There you go. Nice. My second overall pick is going to be buffalo chicken wings.
Yeah.
Just sitting there, I'm going to be watching football, and I'm going to have just some big buffalo chicken wings that I'm going to be gnawing on. Purple asks a good question. Okay. Can you pick something called chicken nuggets that are neither chicken nor nuggets? But
why? You know what, Purple Haze?
Purple Haze going jambalaya.
I don't know if I want to come to New York and have a pizza tour with you now. Okay. All right.
What the hell are you? What the hell are you guys? Dave Portnoy now?
My third favorite food of all time, Jeff, has to be a filet mignon.
Wow, nice. Going steak.
I'm gonna go with the steak. And I know people are gonna no T-bone, no tomahawk. No, I like that center cut. I just like to eat that center cut filet. So that's what I'm gonna go. A steak, Jeff, number 3.
Okay. My number 3, James Martin, for you, it is, in fact, all you can eat ribs at Montana's. That's a Canadian chain, My number 3 pick are ribs. Either baby back pork, or I don't mind a beef rib. If you've seen some of my tweets, some of the rib fests I've been to, I don't mind the big Bronto beef rib that the rib fest has. So number 3 is ribs.
I want my baby back, ribs.
Ribeye, bone-in ribeye from Purple Haze.
Number 4 for me, Jeff. Number 4 for me. I'm not Italian, I promise, but I love Italian food.
Oh, sure.
And my number 4 is going to be chicken Alfredo pasta.
Nice.
Oh, chicken Alfredo. It doesn't matter what you do with it. Put broccoli in it. That's how I like it. You do what you want to do with it, but chicken Alfredo.
Yeah. There you go. Nice. My last 2 might be a surprise for some people. My 4th pick, veal parmesan. Yeah. The veal parm in a nice bun, or just on a plate with some with a garlic mash, maybe even. Yeah. A little veal parm. There was a couple of places. I think Jim, Sweet Paradise. Ever had their veal parm in a bun over Sweet Paradise, Jim? I'm asking Jim because he's a local boy. Even where I used to live. Yeah. Yeah, I like a nice veal parm in a bun with a marinara sauce and a little bit of maybe matzo cheese on there. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Jeff, there's so much food that I like. Like, this is really hard, you know? And now I'm contemplating what I've already selected because I'm just thinking about more things that I love.
Yeah.
My number 5 is it's personal to me.
Sure.
Okay. When I was a kid, my grandmother used to make this for me all the time. When she passed, my mom used to make it, and to this day, I still make it for my son because it's his favorite breakfast to have. In my family, we call them bird's nests. You may know it as egg in the hole, but it's a fried egg inside of a piece of bread. And then the center that you cut out, you put a little butter, cinnamon, sugar on it as a little sweet treat off the side. So that's going to be my number 5, and that is a tip to my grandmother.
Nice.
Bird's nests.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Excellent. Yes. We could go 10. There's probably so much.
I know. I really could. Like, I got so much more to say.
Again, I this may come as a surprise. My number 5, a nice gyro. So a Greek gyro. You got the pita. You got he's slicing it off he's got the machine that's sitting around. You're slicing it off the thing that's been sitting around in the heat all day. Put in some shredded cheese. And then you got the tzatziki. I don't like the onions and the tomatoes, so I get it without that. But going gyro. Going gyro with my number 5.
This was so tough because like a steak and cheese is like up there for me. And chicken fried rice is up there for me.
Sure.
Krispy Kreme donuts are up there for me. Like
you went chicken nuggets. I would go chicken fingers. I like a finger more than a nugget.
Chicky tendies.
Even the you went popcorn chicken. I like the little popcorn chickens.
Hell, even just popcorn.
Even just popcorn. We didn't even talk like this. We didn't even talk like good bacon, egg. You talked about your number 5. I like an egg McJeffy, which is a bagel. It's got a fried egg. It's got possibly a sausage. I know Jim makes the waffles. Jim, you have to come over for an egg McJeffy. But you got the thing. You put a little sausage on it. You put some cheese. That's an egg McJeffy. It's you got your bacon, your egg, your whatever. We're making people hungry. Too early.
I know.
we're making.
Well, I gotta. If I remember correctly, I said pepperoni pizza.
Chicken nuggets.
McDonald's chicken nuggets. I did chicken parm.
Yeah.
I did filet. I did the bird's nest. I don't know if it was in that order. I think I might have got the filet backwards with the.
No, I think so. I think that was there.
And then you had what were yours? You had a burger.
Yeah. Wings. Ribs. Yep. Veal parm
and the gyro.
Correct. Bruce Campbell, the Canadian, made a valid point. There's a restaurant chain up here called Eastside Mario's, and their chicken parm is quite good. I have to admit, They don't do a veal. They don't think they have the veal out here, but they do that. A lot lot of people are making hungry.
Chicken parm is a good one.
Bruce says bread and cheese are his and cheese are his weakness. Jim's never tried Sweet Paradise, but he should. Purple steak, 6 minutes aside, and you're done. Boom, that's it. Anything more is sacrilegious.
I could have gone a lot of different directions here, Jeff. Especially when it came to the food. Like the meals, the different Italian meals.
Maybe I should have clarified it. Just said
maybe pancakes or waffles.
Maybe we need to do it. Maybe we next time we need to draft. This was more meals. Maybe dinner. Maybe I should have clarified and said dinner. I was just thinking food, all time food, but it all tended to be
hot dogs. I love hot dogs.
Yeah.
I love hot dogs.
Only again, you know what?
Something about it. I love hot dogs.
I don't know if they have these in North Carolina. I don't know if they have these in. Jim said filet and Alfredo were flipped. All right, now.
Okay.
Yeah. When I cut this together, they'll be up top here. There'll be a.
My memory is failing me.
Yeah. Yeah, what were we saying? Yeah, we didn't talk. We could do breakfasts. We didn't talk. You're right. Popcorn.
Gummy worms like stay on my desk. That is my nutrient every day, all day. So
yeah,
I run out of sour gummy worms. I get like really depressed.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I said, it'd be interesting to see what Squids' top 5 foods would be. Because he's the vegetarian, he's the vegan, so it'd be probably something similar.
I was going a totally different way when you brought up squids. I was going into like the munchy avenue, but
I know, but yeah, we didn't mention we could, popcorn is a, shout out to Will. Chicken nuggets is his is one of his favorites. Yeah,
loaded baked potato.
I did mention the garlic.
I missed so many.
Mac and cheese with little hot dogs cut up like Sheldon Cooper.
God, one of our favorite things to do is we'll get like a pork butt, and we don't have a smoker, but we will we'll slow cook it and do rub and seasoning and all that. We'll just use the slow cooker, and then we'll shred it all up, and we'll make homemade mac and cheese and put that shredded barbecue all in the mac. Oh my God.
Yep. You got a barbecue. You could smoke in your barbecue. You could get some smoker and you could put. I've smoked in my barbecue before I had my.
I have a flat top. I have a flat top grill. So. Oh, I love my flat top. Don't you be hating?
No. I'm just saying.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I cook 3 meals out there: breakfast, lunch, and me.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, well, maybe so. This was more meals. Maybe we could do breakfast. Maybe we could do other stuff. Junk food. Maybe we could do favorite junk food next. This draft could be endless. There's lots of food choices, right?
I like that we keep revisiting some of these because they fit across multiple topics, right? Like, I was really when Jim and Ann were here and they gave me the question about the electric car. I was like, why don't I make it like this? Why haven't I ever decided to pick something and like that's what 5 guesses should be about? Again. Everyone's smarter than me, and so made me feel like a dummy, and I appreciate them for that.
It's all good. It's I just there's only so many guesses I can give you at stuff, and that's why I wanted to. That's why I keep mixing it up and bringing new topics in. We did game shows, and Crow has no opinion on food. No opinion on food. Okay, Crow doesn't have a favorite food. But yeah,
do you want to let everybody know now or
no? Go ahead. Go ahead. So I did tweet out we have a big announcement. Huge. How it affects the show.
Huge announcement. Thank you for all of you that come and watch us every Saturday morning between what time is it? 9 and whenever in the hell we end. It has been a huge honor to have you all here with us as we talk about whatever water cooler type topics we choose to throw out here. Right? There's a lot of these types of shows out there that you get better information from, but you don't get it with Jeff and my take. Right? So 6 o'clock for Ray. So thank you, Ray, for having a very weak bladder and getting up with us first thing in the morning and then staying up.
And Crow.
Yeah, I'm just playing. Yeah, it is now time that I tell you all, after saying thank you, that we still want you to come watch us. It's just going to be at a different time. And we're going to be moving to Sunday nights now at 10 p.m. Eastern on the heels of the great Purple Haze. I have, 2 kids. You all know this. This is why my schedule is always crazy. And Saturday mornings are just, they're getting tough now. School's back. Hockey, soccer. It's my daughter's last year playing, so I'm trying to be at everything I can. And I just don't want to make Jeff have to always find somebody when I can't be here or adjust the time. And so we talked and feel like that'll be a good time for us. Maybe you all can join us. Hopefully you all can join us, and we'll continue to do the same content just at a different time. So that is the big announcement. We're just going to be moving times. Yep. And hopefully that will work for everybody. So do appreciate each week coming out, listening to us ramble. We're just having fun with this. We have the same conversation with you that we have the night before. Like we did all this last night, and so it's cool.
I did the same. I did the same rant on Dak Prescott last night.
Say what you want about me, say what you want about Jeff, but I'm glad that I get to team up with this guy because our personalities are completely different, and so when we come together, I feel like it makes for for a really good conversation. So just thank you to Jeff for appeasing my schedule and working with me. You know, he'll tell me things all the time, like, he doesn't care, yada, yada, but he still has to make some changes, and I appreciate him. So
10 p.m. my time, that would be 9 p.m. Williams time, 8 p.m. Callie Drew time, 7 p.m. Crow and Ray time. Unfortunately for our friends out over the ocean, that'd be 3 o'clock in the morning for them, unfortunately. So we're going to miss out on that. Purple Haze instance. We are going to follow right on the heels of Purple. It is still going to be called Coffee Talk. We are not changing the name. We decided not.
We might look a little bit different. We might make it a little darker, but it's still.
Jim, if there is a Sunday night Cowboys game, you are on tap. You and Ann are on tap.
Yeah. We already talked about that.
If there is a Cowboys game, maybe Purple Haze, maybe Jim can come back.
Because we're going to get to do live look-ins. We're not live look-ins because we can't stream the game, but like we can talk about it as it's happening, right? So that's going to be kind of cool to have like a live sporting event going on during the show. So
That's right. But Purple Haze, big thank you for dropping it. That was not planned. That was just as you were in the chat. I'm like, you want to drop it? I just send her the link and she jumped in. Like, we did not plan that. That was an audible we made right in the middle of the show.
It's early for her too, right?
Yeah.
And did you see she was just all put together, like just glowing first thing in the morning. Like she didn't even have to try.
No, that's right. That's right.
Thank you, Purple Haze. Appreciate you chatting with us.
Yeah, she's very passionate about some of those. Very passionate about her players and some of the stuff.
Hey.
I was focused on the chat. I wasn't really paying attention to you guys. I just let you guys ramble.
As soon as I said ball and dribble, you just went away. So.
I went over to this computer to the chatty chat, and I was keeping up with the chat. Big shout out to Lee for dropping in.
Absolutely,
Lee drop in. Of course, Ron Slusher. You want a link? Ron Slusher, you come back next Sunday. You come next Sunday, Ron Slusher. We will bring you on to talk YouTube playables and Stadia. So, big shout out to Bruce and Ray and Crow for coming in. Of course, the great Stadia Ron for being here. And did I miss anybody else?
And
Jim Martin. Can't forget Jim Martin. Jim Martin and I are going to have to road trip to Sweet Paradise. We're going to have to road trip to Sweet Paradise, buddy. Ray and Steph Curry.
Bruce he's a musician, right? Like, we know this about Bruce. He's a very, very good musician. And
very good.
We've had quite a run in here recently, Jeff, in weeks previous, where we've had to, mourn a musical artist that we have lost. And unfortunately, this week is no different than any of the others. And there was another musical icon that was lost. So as we roll away, we'll throw that on the screen. You know where to find Jeff. He's going to be everywhere all the time. So just follow him, and I'll see you all next Sunday night.
First
evening episode of Coffee Talk. So take care and hug your loved ones and get outside and touch some grass and do all those great things. Keep being awesome. And thanks, Jeff, for being my partner in this.
Love this. Love doing this show. My favorite highlight of the week. And let's go, Cowboys!